Welcome, Gemini, to your May Moon Magic 1 month forecast for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. May has 5 lunations, and 2 of them feature the sun in your zodiac sign. But I'm going to take you through each one frame by frame and also share the importance of Mars this month. Very much a masculine energy, the moon much more to do with intuition and nurture. But by the end of the video, you'll have a clear understanding of what's in store for you in terms of your energy, work, relationships, and finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive, but please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. So right at the start of May, we have that very powerful Scorpio full moon, the flower moon. Why is it so potent? Well, the moon in Scorpio is in her full, but for you, as you can see on the screen, in the practical sixth house. Sixth house is very much about details, but it can also be about our physical well-being. The moon suggests that where we are feeling a bit stressed or things are a little overwhelming, particularly on the work or domestic front, that can feed into a lowering of energy. But it's the sun in that 12th house which can show this up, perhaps more in feeling emotionally or rather psychologically jaded. Now, at the top of the chart here, we have Pluto. Pluto very much to do with truth and transformation, but it is the planet of power. But for you in the ninth house, that's higher truths. So something may have got teased into the open as you came into May, which was a little bit comfortable to digest. But also, as we look at the overall chart, Venus in your zodiac sign is actually in a very strong link with Saturn. So the relationships that are very solid in your world are not going to be an issue as you come into this month. It's more to do with those that aren't so good. And that might show up most of all for you in your professional situation. But I mentioned about Mars, and at the start of the month, Mars is in its home sign of Aries, but in that 11th house. That's your long-term plan, but can be your connections to others. But also it's in a square with Jupiter through the first 10 days. And that could give you a lot of get up and go and self-belief, particularly around financial issues. But it will be important not to get so caught up in things that you end up over promising or perhaps even over expecting about how things can go. Now, if we fast forwards to the 9th of May, we have the first of the 2 quarter moons. Quarter moons don't get anywhere enough coverage in astrology generally. They're definitely not on YouTube. But the quarter moon is when the sun and the moon are squaring off. So there's the moon in your sister air sign of Aquarius in that 9th house where Pluto is. And that's very much a freedom loving energy for the moon. It doesn't like to be tied down. And the moon in Aquarius can be pretty rebellious too. But it's in a square with the sun still in that psychological 12th house. So again, over the following week from the 9th, some issues rather tender issues, may bubble to the surface that could feel a bit uncomfortable. The good news, however, is that Mars and Jupiter are still spurring each other on, but you've had more time now to assess the opportunities. But also Mercury, your ruler, has moved to join up with the Sun on the 3rd of May into that very private 12th house. But then if we go forwards to the Taurus super new moon at the heart of the month on the 16th, here we have the collective of the sun, the moon, but also Mercury, all in the sign of Taurus, but in the 3rd decan, which can bring a more Saturnian energy into the equation because Saturn rules the 3rd decan. But you can see that Mercury is very close to moving into your zodiac sign on the 17th and joining up with Uranus, which will create great excitement. But this could mean that something that didn't get resolved with that full moon at the start of the month, nor with that quarter moon on the 9th, will need to be finally looked at. But you get an opportunity if it is something around a friendship or a long-term plan that maybe you have been feeling a bit unsure or even wounded around, because Mars is no longer in the square with Jupiter, but what we do have is Mars in a conjunction with Chiron. So if there has been some tension in a friendship or a group situation, and you have felt that there's been some politics, perhaps at work, it could start to all come out in the celestial wash from the middle of the month. Also, Jupiter, the planet of opportunity and good fortune, is very much in touch with the position of the moon and the sun. So some of the things you've been doing behind the scenes, the sun in the 12th house, can now start to give you a reward in terms of finance. But the other thing to tell you on this particular new moon, Gemini, if you are footloose and fancy free, Venus and Mars are in an absolutely gorgeous alliance. And if you have been feeling that your love life just doesn't seem to work out for you, Venus is linked to Chiron too, can be very helpful. I think the key here is you need to take the initiative, but also if you can meet up or mix and mingle in some kind of social situation, which the sun in Taurus may have seen you a little bit disinclined to do, you're going to increase your chances through the last half of the month. So that brings us to the Virgo quarter moon, which occurs on the 23rd. Now, by now, the sun has moved from Taurus into your sign on the 21st, and it's gone into that conjunction with Uranus for the first time in about 77 years. So really exciting. And you will feel a sense of excitement of things building at pace. So what could possibly go wrong? Well, it's the role of the moon. Because the quarter moon, you can see, not only clashes with the sun, but also with Uranus. So something you want to do that perhaps got delayed by all that Taurus 12th house energy, which is more reflective, you can surge forwards, but just stay mindful of the more emotional dimension. But we also have Mars has moved to replace the Sun and Mercury in your 12th house. And this can be quite tricky. And also through the last 10 days of this month, Mars is in a square with Pluto. That's one of astrology's biggest power battle combinations. And again, if something really hasn't been resolved that's been lurking in the depths, it may be an old issue, it may be to do with trust, it may be to do with loyalty. It can explode into the open through the last 10 days of this month. The difference is, whereas earlier in the month you may have felt a bit tentative or unsure, as we come into the end of the month, you're going to be a lot more outspoken, which brings us to the Sagittarius full moon on the final day. The sun, of course, in your sign, just still in your first decan, sub-ruled by Mercury, in that opposition with Sagittarius. Well, here the moon is asking you to keep things on an even kill. What more could you want? But it's just there are things you need to do for you that are very individualistic that may make it more difficult to lean into other people's expectations. But what we do still have is Mars and Pluto in that punishing right angle, but furthermore, Mars is in a quincunx with the moon. So I think as you come to the end of this month, by push or shove, something that's been just lingering in the background that has been a little awkward, it may be to do with an old issue. It may be to do with a point of principle. It may be to do with you feeling that someone's not been as loyal as they could be. It could be that something you've done in the past that's not been your best moment may need to come into the open in order to be really released and freed. So your overall summary for the month in terms of energy, work, relationships, and finances, I'll share shortly, Gemini. I've slashed the price of my personal horoscope reports. It's now three for the price of one. You pay for your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that are played out so far, but get a more intimate understanding of them and work with those energies future forwards that much better. Free, you get your 12 months transit forecast and also your draconic soul karmic analysis. 3 for for the price of one. Please see below for more. Why? I've been full-time for 30 years, but my interest in astrology came through when I was 14. The first classical album I ever got was The Planets, which is about astrology, not astronomy. And ever since then, it's been a major part of my life. Natal astrology helps us to really navigate this particular journey that much better. By sharing the love about natal astrology, I hope to help others too. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch your May monthly forecast, please see that on the screen. Yet to watch your Pluto retrograde 5-month forecast on the screen. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, please see my testimonials below. And if you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning, please do so now. Get that early day celestial pit stop. And also, if you want to take advantage of my moon guide download, you can see that below too. So to summarize, when it comes to your professional situation, I do think the potential for some backbiting or politics is quite strong on the back of that early full flower moon in Scorpio, so the first 2 weeks. But you can have a capacity to link up with people you do feel comfortable with, and there may even be a romantic dimension for that, so that's exciting. We know that Saturn does affect energy, and Saturn this month continues, as it will, for the next 2 years in your sector of friendships. So it won't necessarily be people you even don't like. I think it's more to do with an energetic exchange. But I think you are going to pull in a little bit, be much more careful who you're connecting with, and much more aware of who's really got your back or not. But in terms of your financial situation, by the end of the month, I think something could be shaping up really quite sweetly for you. And you know, as you go into June, that shaping up sweetly can turn into something really very exciting indeed. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure being with you. Look forward to seeing you again soon, and goodbye for now.